Howdy, 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 folks. Hope everyone's having a great day. It's mid-February. It's a cold, blustery day. We had a bunch of snow last couple days, but it's already melting. The sun's out bright, so it's a good day to get out and do some habitat work. I wanted to show you this tree stand I have here, and wanted to talk a little bit about how I strategically place my tree stands. So I'm just going to give you a kind of quick look at the area here. And historically, this area has lots of big, mature buck movement, not to mention deer movement in general. And I want to talk a little bit why and why we have this stand right here. So first of all, we have a very thick bedding area here. It drops down into more open hardwoods, not very open. It's not a huge mature forest, but there's actually a good mix of diversity, but a lot of big canopy trees down there. And so this thicket kind of blends into open woods. And when you come up here, we have this opening here. We have this little straightaway that kind of shoots back that way about 100 yards or so. And then we got this really thick tree line right here. And if we walk to the other side of this tree line, this is where my old fields are. So this is where we had a food plot here last year. And part of this is going to continue to be a food plot. We're actually going to, instead of making this a big square plot, we're going to try to direct more deer movement towards the center of the property this way. So we're actually going to have the food plot. It's going to be a little skinnier, and it's going to snake through here, through these pines, and then around the orchard. The orchard's on the other side of that tree line. We got some old outbuildings that we're just using for storage right now. We'll probably eventually tear that down. But the plan is to snake that food plot out that way. That way, the deer who pop up here to check the food plot for does, they're going to have to move a little bit and come out this way to really get a good feel for what may exist on the other side of these pines. So it's going to be a strategic decision to do that. On the opposite side of this plot, it will actually be bedding all along that. So that bedding is going to flow along our property line. Now the stand's up here. So this stand will have shots into that food plot this year. We used to have the stand facing this way. We pushed it to the other side because ideally, we're not necessarily just targeting the food plot for shots. Yeah, if a big buck shows up in that food plot and we're sitting there, we want to have a shot. But majority of your big buck mature movement during the day tends to be on this side. They come up, they scent check this bedding, they'll run the edge of this scent checking it, they'll come through here scent checking it, they'll come through here, there's a pond down there, and a lot of the doe family groups bed in here. And then when you get a little further out, those bucks are bedding typically anywhere from 100 yards to a couple hundred yards out from here. There's additional bedding areas. We have stands along these corridors where they travel, including 2 stands up here, because those big bucks, we have daylight photos and video of them up here last year. They were constantly checking this food plot. They were checking the edge from here. They were also down below this, scent checking the edge down there. But they were here during the day a lot, and that's what we want. So our strategy last year worked really good. We're just enhancing it a little bit more. We want some better shot angles here. So you could see this stand's brushed in pretty good. We're going to do a little more work later in the year. I'm going to get some oaks after they leaf out and put them in front of that stand, because if a buck's coming along this straightaway, as of right now, that's a little open. So we'll work on that later in the year. One other thing I wanted to show you was the mock scrape. So I put a mock scrape here last year, and this thing got nailed. This thing was getting hammered. It was actually over here closer to the tree. You could kind of see where it was getting nailed all year. We started in the summer. They were nailing this all year. I moved it a little further out here because there were some roots there. So it's a little further out. We have good shot angles here. So we have deer coming in this way, deer coming up this way. This is the hub. They love to stay in this thick stuff and kind of stage right in here before they pop out. And so we have that stand there. Now here's that straightaway. they love to move along this. And look at this. This is a scrape they made themselves. This little vine was hanging down, and you could see it's still open. It looks like it was freshly scraped, actually, but they made this one themselves. They were up here a lot during daylight hours. So even if a buck pops out up here, makes his way into the food plot this way, we're still going to have shots from our stand. So I just wanted to show you the stand. When you're putting your stands out, try not to focus too much on one piece of sign, right? A lot of guys they'll go out in the woods, get a scouting trip in real quick. Maybe they find a trail, maybe some rubs, scrapes, and then they just throw a stand up. You want it to be a little more, you really want to spend time understanding what the movement is, what they're doing, why they're doing it. If you're just hunting a trail or a rub line or scrape, a lot of times that stuff's only being made in the nighttime hours after dark. And sometimes those trails may only be used after dark. So you want to be more strategic about it. Now, we know deer use this in daylight. The does, absolutely. The mature bucks, they definitely did last year because of the food plot and some of the enhancements we did down here. And we make them feel secure. The way we access our stands is with stealth, so we weren't putting a lot of pressure on them. And the big boys are up here. So they're going to be up here again this year for sure. So we're just making some fine tuning adjustments, and it's going to be a good year. So last thing I'll close out with, when you're looking to do your stand placement, things to consider. First of all, edge and diversity are huge. We have edge and diversity here. We have a food plot edge, old field edge. We have a tree line edge. We have this straightaway edge, the bedding edge. That's a ton of edge. Deer love to use that edge, so that's a winner. Number two, we have tons of deer trails and corridors traveling through here. This is a major hub right here. There's a little bit of a draw. Numerous trails in this bedding area come together right here. So we're not just hunting one trail or one line of movement. We're hunting multiples. They funnel through here, and even if they pop out up here because they funneled through on the opposite end of this bedding, that's okay. We have shots there. We have the food over there, and then we're hunting the staging area and the edge into the bedding. That's key. So diversity, edge, multiple trails. We don't really worry about the rubs and scrapes so much, but we make our own mock scrapes and get them started in the summer, and that's going to be key. So try to get as many of those variables as you can, and you'll be in luck. Now, one other thing I'll mention is screening is important. So either screening or some sort of stealth access. So we're going to have Egyptian wheatgrass along the edge here behind the stand, and that'll allow us to get to the stand. So we'll have Egyptian wheatgrass in here. We have some of this screening already, and we'll be able to move right in here and get up there with stealth. And we're only going to hunt this when we feel it'll be productive for the right wind and for the right time of day. So I'm probably not going to come and pop up here first thing in the morning. This will probably be more of an afternoon, midday, evening type sit. But I like to mix things up, so you never know. But having that screened access will be vitally important. If those deer are bedded close by, or they're already near the food or in the food, you got to be able to get in and out of that stand without spook. Especially big bucks. Does will kind of put up with that stuff, but a big mature buck, if you bust him out of here one time, he may never come back, or if he does, it's only going to be at night. So you got to be careful with that. A lot of times it depends on the buck's mentality too, right? They're all kind of their own individuals, and some bucks tend to take more risk than others, but a lot of those big boys live long and become big old beasts because they are risk averse. So just try to give yourself as much of an opportunity to get in and out of that stand with ease, quietly and with stealth, and set yourself up for success. So good luck. We'll see you guys later.